So how did you tell us about the Bloods and the gangs? How did you get in? How did you not involved? But how, did you watch the transition?
I did.
Tell us what you remember, because they said from the people that we had on here, they said the Latin Kings and Latina Nietas were, they were in numbers. There were a lot of them.
That was there first.
And then
they're the reason that the Blood started, pretty much, what they were saying.
Yeah.
And then you had guys like, like I said, Soul B with Stacey Knight, Killer Cab, all these guys. They said that even though they were wilding, somebody came up with an idea to come together because, to go against being oppressed, I guess.
Exactly.
But tell us what you remember.
What I remember is it's the UBN, United Blood Nation, that they came up with, And one guy who was really giving us a lot of trouble was Sherman Adams. Was an adolescent, Sherman the Worm, they called him. And he gave a lot of problems. But no, they all unified under that United Blood Nation. But then they all had sets, 939, Gangster Killer Blood. They had so many different sets going on. But at one point, they was all unified.
Right.
But the bad part about the whole thing was that you had to cut somebody to be blood. You had to blood in. You actually had to cut somebody. It got to a point where we had 150 slashings and stabbings a month.
Wow.
150 people was getting wet. All right? And a lot of it was under that Blood Nation stuff. You know what I'm saying? But what it took place was that it went out into our street and it's like communities. They was cutting people on a train as they was jumping off to be a blood person, and there was no real money or currency involved with this. They were just cutting up things, and it was pretty bad. No, not pretty bad. It was real bad.
But do you remember seeing? I want you to take us through the steps of what you remember seeing. How it for? So did you the Latin Kings? Like, what did you see? What was first? Like from what you remember? Because really
the Latin Kings. The Latin Kings was first, as I remember. They had a good organization and everything else where they had structure and their cold words and the retaliation. Only thing with them is that they didn't cut each other to join them forces. If you was a Hispanic, you was down with them. You know what I'm saying? You just have to say you want to be down. Whatever dues they have to pay, had to dues, But Nietas was basically the same thing, easy going, everything else. Not making that much noise. There was a small out of all the groups. But when the Bloods came around, it was like treacherous. I mean, when I made captain, we had to go around and start looking for them at this point. So with so many people getting slashed and stabs, and back then they was able to, they was wearing everything they wanted at that time in the early days. They was wearing their gold, their Timbs, they was dressed up, So to a point they was carrying all their flags. Everybody was carrying their red bandanas, and Latin Kings was carrying their yellow and black, and Nietas was white and black. So and they had their beads. They was flossing out there and just showing it and throwing up hand signs. But back then, it was really hard for correction officers because we had to do congregate feeding, meaning that you had to take a house out of 60 inmates or 120, and they have to pass another house in the hallway. Sometimes the feeding went on for hours because they was fighting all the time, attacking each other. Certain houses have to be separated from other houses. They can't be in a mess hall at the same time. It was cold chaos at that point.
Wow.
It was chaos, but we had to go around. Each security team had to go around and start looking to identify them. And then we started making up cards for our officers to carry. And then we started getting them at the new emission state, looking for their burn marks on their shoulders, because the Bloods would burn 3 marks on their shoulder. That would gave them to, that. Or some actually put the, UBN on there, or the Blood Nation, whatever they did. We started identifying them right then, which gave us a big worth of information, because we was dealing with a 44... They stayed there for 44 days, but we was dealing with 20,000 inmates coming in our system. 20,000. You know what kind of information you get as each one of these inmates come in there? We get their AKA, we get the pictures, we get all their tattoos and everything else. So we was affiliated with the DEA, the FBI, police department. We sat with a whole host of people sitting down gathering information with us. They were trying to run a RICO case against the Bloods and everything else.
So do you recall like the Bloods actually getting started because of the Spanish ganging on them, or?
No, I wouldn't put it on them like that. They wasn't hurting them like that. They wasn't. They was looking for a reason, but they wasn't getting hurt. I mean, when I got in the job, I couldn't even believe they was Germans. I said, who are they talking about? Because, they call them Germans. I told my partner, who's the Germans? He says the Puerto Ricans. I said, what the hell are they German for? But either way, they wasn't hurting them. That was no need. They was not going around beating up blacks.
Because each guest that we had up here, that's part of the UBN that started it, and they say they're the founding members. They all said the same thing. They all said that they kind of had to join a brotherhood because the Spanish and the Latin community was coming at them so crazy. They had to kind of come together and stand their ground.
I keep the stats. I know the numbers. It was not like that.
Unless
it was underground.
Okay.
Warden,
that's what they all
Go
say.
ahead.
Warden, I have to stop you.
No, you don't. But you can bring it.
I have to stop you. No. I'm just saying because she's kind of agreeing with what the Bloods were saying. She's shaking her head.
She's young.
She's
young. She don't know.
She's kind of agreeing. You
Yes,
were there
wait.
from the beginning stage,
Exactly.
Warden. You were there from the beginning. The rumor is, or what they're saying is that they were out. Even the Latin Kings themselves, when I spoke to them, told me that it was more of them than there were more than black people. It was more of them. There was a lot of them. Like every black person, was about 5 Hispanic. This is what they told me. Black people told me. So where?
Wait. They would say they was outnumbering the blacks in jail?
Yes, that's what they
Yeah.
said. And Rikers or
No, they wasn't. I never saw no stats like that.
or C95.
I don't know. Maybe 95 had a lot of Hispanic, but I don't never remember them outnumbering the brothers in there. Never. I never saw no stats where it was more Hispanic. I mean, I can always go back and look it up and come back up here and tell you some real numbers.
Let's go,
But
Cap.
to my,
Really?
Let's go, Warden. Talk.
Shoot, but I never saw it like that. Come on.
Who they talking about? They trying to challenge you, huh? You can't challenge the Warden.
No. Just the facts is that no, they didn't outnumber them like that. They wasn't running around there with that nonsense like that.
So why you think the blood started then?
I think it was more of to me, it wasn't to protect yourself. That's out. Put that word out of your head.
Really?
That was not there to protect them against the Hispanics. All right? It wasn't that story.
Okay.
I just think it was a mere fact that they wanted some kind of organization of their own to call. That's how I'm looking at it. They want something they can have, like the Nietas had something.
And Latin Kings.
And the Kings had something. They wanted something. They wanted something of their own they can call. They had 5%, but that's a whole different group by itself.
Right.
And the Muslims is a whole different group. These other cats wanted some thug stuff going on. That's how that came about, if you ask me. Because let me tell you something. When you want to tell some grown men to make a movie for you, and that term make a movie, that means make violence happen for you that day, that ain't slick. What's that mean? Make violence. And you're not telling them to go get the Hispanics. You letting them get anybody. They wasn't just making a movie on Hispanics. They was doing other brothers wwho wasn't down with their nation. You know what I'm saying? That's what the story was. They wasn't getting down for theirs and
They did say
saving
that
the
too.
brotherhood.
They said that also. They said that anyone the whole food comment. If you weren't part of a gang, that you were food.
That's right. That's the term they use. That's food. They'll eat you. You're food.
He did
That's
mention
what
that.
They did. They didn't do that.
But they all mentioned that they joined the game because of the Spanish
But
stuff.
what I'm getting from
I don't know why. But go ahead.
what I'm getting from the Warden is that he's saying, I call you Warden,
No problem.
What I'm getting from him is that he's saying that he thinks, in his opinion,
Right.
and these guys are my friends. Salute to them.
Mm-hmm.
He called them haters in kind words, basically saying that in kind words, not disrespecting, but saying that basically this is how I'm taking it as being young. Basically saying that they saw an organization that were in numbers, in unity, and they wanted something of their own.
Mm-hmm.
But in their minds, to defend them and each one of them, they must have talked to each other in jail. They had a lot of time to come up with a reason to say that we were being oppressed.
They wasn't impressed. They was rocking all the jewelry and the drugs and everything else up in that piece. They was impressed by them. No, it didn't happen. Don't be looking at her like she know the history.
Because now I want to see the expressions that because she's making a lot of faces.
Her expression is getting to you.
Yeah, it's good.
She can make a face what she was. She wasn't rocking at that. I don't even. Yeah, she was a baby in the 90s. Okay, 89 years. She's a baby. She don't know about that part.
And you, this is
oh man,
this is new.
Sometimes we gotta have some of those guests up here at the same time, like a Warden and Kev. You know what I'm saying? Like sitting here to kind of get the.
But they all love
But
him.
they have to, because I was fair to them. They all can tell you I was fair to them.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Across the board, all organizations. Bring it up. Go ahead.
Mm.
Come on, don't do that.
I'm going to bring it to me. Go ahead. Tell me what that.
Listen,
Let's go.
I want to hear this one.
I was on the phone, right? They said there was two. They said, officer named Sanchez was crooked, and they said Bailey was crooked. Now, a Hispanic man told me this. The blacks were saying that, yo, Bailey did his shit, man, but he looked out for his people. That's what they told me. I don't know how these rumors started. I'm just saying that these are recently of what I heard. I just spoke because, I spoke to a Latin king, and this is what he said to me. He said, yo, man, he'll put Sanchez, I don't know who Sanchez is. Are you familiar with their name?
I know some names like this. Why I said bad.
Okay, he'll put a black person, if he gave trouble, into a Latin king house, and they said you will put a Latin king into a blood house if they gave you trouble. What do you have to say for those things?
Let me say this, okay? When we was in security, we claimed clearly there's no blood house and ain't no Latin king house. Okay, we put you where you.
He's talking about the camera. That one's on. It's different cameras.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, we put you where you want. Was some houses predominantly Hispanic? Dominantly Bloods and this that? Yeah, it was. But we expect anybody we put in there, no one can tell you I put them in a house and they got cut. Yeah, I put some Hispanic guy that had more Bloods and Latin kings in there. He met the classification. It ain't like I took him from a classification of a murderer and put him in there with some streetwalkers. They had the same classification. And I just didn't do it to Hispanic. I did it to anybody who thought they was bigger than the whole thing. Nobody ain't bigger than us. The house will never lose. I used to tell them that roll call. We the house, and we never lose.
But then, Warden, that means you did that intentionally, though. You're admitting that.
I have no problem doing it intentionally. It wasn't no punishment. You should be able to live in any house with your classification. But the point is, let me tell you something. They didn't violate me. If I put somebody in that house, he's like, oh, B. They wouldn't say, oh, he's a Latin king. You can't put him here. They can't tell me where to put. He's the same classification. And know what I tell them? And you better not touch him. So that guy can tell you, I put him in there. Ask him, did he get touched? Did he get blood? Did he get stabbed? They won't do that to me. Like they said, I was fair with all of them. And if I took somebody out the Bing and this and that, or they gave me weapons to take somebody out the Bing, the thing went down like this. Don't go out this Bing and make no noise. Don't make me look bad. Don't go out there. But then again, I told him the other part this. If your life depends on it, you have to do what you have to do too.
Oh, hold on.
It don't work both ways. I'm going to tell him not to do nothing. His life depends on it? Nope, it works both ways. But it never happened that way.
Warden, what you talking about?
I'm telling the truth. I'm saying like this. I can tell him to be good and this and that, but I'm not going to tell him to be no trick either.
Warden, what are you saying?
I'm not telling him to be no trick.
Warden, wait.
Go ahead.
Let's slow down a little bit. So, you told people if their life depend on it, they have to defend themselves.
Of course.
What made you feel that way? He said it. I have to ask him.
That's self-defense, though.
What made me feel that way?
That's self-defense.
Real life make me feel that way. I told him clearly. It's just like my officers. I tell my officers, we having a great month. We have no slashings and stabbings. Let's get through these last 8 hours. All right? Mm-hmm. And on that last 8 hours, one of my officers jumped between somebody who had a weapon and stabbed somebody. I mean, I honored him. My soldiers was great. I honored him and told him that. But the next thing I told him, it's not that important to me. Don't you get stabbed trying to give me my good numbers. Don't get me stabbed because I want a 0 for the month. You know what I'm saying? So you don't jump in front of no weapons because I went to roll call and said, this is our last 8 hours. Let's hold it down. So, that officer was brave and everything else. I gave him accommodation. He did well and everything else. But I don't want nobody to do that for me. Your job is to identify who stabbed him and where the weapon was at.
So you based your actions and your mentality off of real life. This is real life things. But the thing I want to say to you also, and with all due respect, is that you did say earlier that you were for, the whole follow Malcolm X. You want to be a FOI, right?
Yeah, I'm pro-black.
Yeah, so pro-black. So going into it, can you see how somebody may say, because that's the first, every black blood or anybody that came up here said that it's the man right there. He did his shit, but I don't know why they say he did his shit. We'll get into that. But that's the man. He fucked with his people. Now, but how about the Hispanics?
I dealt with them fairly. Come on, let me tell you something. It's all about everybody. I don't know how they're going to say it. Some of the Hispanics have to tell them I love them. I did a lot for them. Easily. I don't go that way. You couldn't go that way and think you're going to run a jail. If they believe that, and I went to when I walked to every house and every building I worked at. I walked into every housing area before I went home. Every house knew me, and every inmate knew I didn't play that. I don't play my officers calling you out of name. I don't play my officers taking your phone away from you. I don't play none of that. My officers used to be saying, the inmates used to say DBS in 95. DBS, that meant Depp Bailey said. And some of my people took that to task. If you don't hear from me, don't listen to this inmate. The captain took it to task. An inmate going to tell the captain, DBS said I don't have to go to court. And the captain fell into it. I had to go to roll call and say, listen, we'll lock this whole jail down and find this inmate. We're going to send him to court. But no, my name was ringing bells because I was always proactive. And when I made gang intelligence, that was ridiculous. Because now I have governance of all the jails on and off island.
I'm looking at it now.
You know, I had all governance. But I didn't have governance in gang intelligence to take anybody out the Bing and put them out. I took people out of my jail when I worked at HDM, and kept them in my jail. I couldn't send them back to their parents' jail. You know what I'm saying? Where they did that violence at, I ate it. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to get the weapons out the facility.
So let's talk about the weapon thing, because we had a guy named Kevin Davis, which they call Killer Cab. I sent you the links.
Yeah, I saw it.
He said that a guy named Tata brother Troy or whatever gave you 5 bangers to bail him out the box.
Yeah. Yeah, I took those bangers. If possible, yeah. I negotiated with a lot of people. I got cuff keys. I got bangers. Come on, I got razors. Shh. Let me tell you something. We did orientation every day. And know in my orientation I used to tell them? I said, let me tell you something. If that guy's smoking and you're not smoking, you need to tell on him. He got a weapon and you don't have a weapon, you need to tell on him. And then I used to tell him how to tell. I said, tell your mother to call me and say, this is for Junior in 2 block. 5 cell got all the drugs. I told him, I'll turn you on to anything. Don't just tell me what's going on in jail. Tell me what's going on in the street. Your man didn't come up and say, tell me, I'll turn you on to the FBI, local police, and everything else. We did that every day. And every other jail had to follow what we did. Anybody new came to your jail, you gave them orientation. And guess what? We didn't take no for an answer. You came from up north, you come down here to I don't need to go to orientation. We sent a squad to come get you to hear what I had to tell you. And some of these guys asked me when everything was over, and I said, you want to tell me? Shake my hand and pass me the note. Drop it on the floor and I'll pick it up. You know what I'm saying? I'll get you what you need to get. One guy after me asked to get to the FBI. I was fronting at that time. I really didn't have a hookup with the FBI, but he knew a number to the FBI. You know, and I just got them together. So the network was trying to get everybody to work together. I used to call them my secret squirrels. You know, to this day, people laugh at me and say, I hated Bailey and his secret squirrels. Because my secret squirrels told on everybody. If my staff is doing something wrong, tell. I want to know that too. You know what I'm saying? I came fair across the board. So ain't no one can say I was just pro-black, not pro-Latino or white or this and that. Everybody got a fair hand from me. And when the house act up, I did exactly what the tough guys do in the house. I go in there, I turn the TV to channel 13 and tell everybody gonna look at Bob the Builder. The TV is broken. It can't come off channel 13. And it had to stay on channel 13.
Tell us about the first time you took weapons. Like, how did that happen? What made you come up with that idea?
They don't come out there. It was a thing going on prior to me being security captain. All the way down the line. Hello? And I didn't make that taking weapons. You think I made that up? No, I didn't make that up. It was ongoing practice prior to me being in security. You think just in 1990-something we just start doing that? No, I'm not the only one. I always hear my name mentioned on these podcasts. Bailey, yeah, you get Bailey 5 weapons, 10 weapons, and he'll get you out the Bing. But when I got you out the Bing, you had to be good, man. You ain't just getting out the Bing to make more mayhem in my building or whatever building you was in. I wasn't going for that mayhem.
I need to go through the steps. So the Bing is what?
Punitive segregation, lockdown 23 hours.
Okay. And what can get somebody in the Bing?
Oh, a lot of different things. Disrespect to staff, caught with contraband, refusing to let me lock your cell. Again, and it was a big rule book. It was a big rule book. We can pick out something out of there that you did. You know, and it depends what the adjudication captain will give you. 10, 20, 30, you know.
What was the most days you gave somebody in the Bing?
I couldn't give anybody. I had infractions that gave them 45. And I used to show the inmate who I lived in my housing here, I said, this infraction is good for 45 days. The only thing you have to do is put your name in it because you're doing the same thing this kid did. You know what I'm saying? I kept my infractions that was good and powerful and put it up in the window and let them know. You can get the same thing.
So somebody put you on to like, yo, there's a way to get weapons out the house. That's the main reason. Let's get weapons out the house to keep the
Violence down.
The violence down. That's the main thing.
Oh,
Keep
most
the
definitely.
violence down at the house, especially as a captain at the time, or what were you, an officer? Captain?
No, I couldn't do it as an officer. I didn't have that kind of clout.
as a
but as a captain,
As a captain.
I
So,
had clout.
all right. So, and that's the main thing. So you were able to. If somebody want their peoples out, you was like, yo, look.
No, I didn't go shave them. They had to come to me. I didn't go knocking on doors. No, I didn't go solicit that. No, they had to come to me. You know what I'm saying? You can't solicit. Oh no, I wouldn't do that. They came to me and said, yo, my man is in there. You know, this is what he did be. We got him. He ain't gonna make no noise. You know, we got these bangers and everything else. We got a cuff key or this and that, you know.
A cuff key? How the hell did they get cuff key?
I can show you in my bag. I can show you how they got cuff keys.
Wow.
You know, can I snatch my bag?
Yeah, sure.
Let me snatch my bag. I show you how they got some cuff keys.
Okay,
You know, but I want that kind of stuff. Everybody want it. And the second, I'm gonna read you some numbers that's amazing. And you can say, yeah, all right. The end justify the means. All right, the end justify the means.
That's a good term. You look at him like that. You like it?
I like this guy, man.
The end justified the means.
You want to see the numbers?
Yo, what the?
All right. This is some X-rays we took, and again, we can't take no X-rays of no one unless they agree to it. Okay? You know, they couldn't clear the machine, or they couldn't clear the boss chair because we got something called the boss chair that will tell me if you have something up your butt, in your mouth, cheeks, and everything else. And these courageous guys said, I take an X-ray because I don't have anything. You see that razor?
Yep.
But you know that razor is not just up there floating. You know they got a rip tie on it, right? They put a piece of string on it.
Can you hold it to that camera?
They put a piece of string on it, and they had to pull it out because the razors just floating in your body don't scare me. They had to wrap it up in a holster and everything else, and that little string be hanging. And you know we couldn't do no cavity searches.
Yeah, there you go.
We couldn't do no cavity searches. Remember, we can't tell a man to bend over and spread his cheeks. All right?
I do see a razor in there.
All right, you can see these, right?
Well, show it to me first. Let me see. Oh, what the
Simple
hell?
bobby pins. Simple bobby pins they slammed up in their butt.
Right there, yeah.
You see that?
Yeah, show it to the camera.
All right. A simple bobby pin. How about this one? This is the gold mine.
We can't see it.
That's the gold mine.
It is dark.
Slam a cuff key up.
Oh, okay.
That's
Wow.
the gold mine. That's what we want. You know? That's
Wow.
what we want. I got a shank up in somebody's butt too. You putting shanks up in there? All right? We came a long way. We came a long way. You know the biggest way we came? Here, look at this shank. There goes shank. You see how straight that shank is? You shove it up your
Wow.
butt?
Yeah.
This is a shank right here?
That's a long shank that you put up your butt.
All right, so I have a question. This might sound, yeah.
Show the camera a little bit, G.
Yeah.
Don't show the camera with the, you know,
Look at that cuff key.
with the water. Show us because you know people. We ain't gonna have people. Oh, let me see.
Come up a little bit. Come close a little bit. All right, there we go. See now, yeah, the lights.
Show me another one. The razor one.
That's the razor up there.
These guys are. Show me again, G. Show me again.
That's good. That's good.
Wow.
See that one clear, yeah.
Up their ass.
Up their ass, okay?
So
I'd
let me
rather
ask
turn
you a
those
question.
over.
You know, I didn't want to ask the guys when they were here. I feel like it was kind of, you know, it was a little sus. But like, how does
The
that?
guy said that. I heard him say it on your thing, your podcast.
No,
What he
but
said? He cleaned it off after he took it out his ass. I heard him.
But like, how does it work when they have it there? They can't really do certain things now because like they can cut their insides and.
No, those are wrapped up in holsters. You ain't putting no raw razor up in your ass.
But even I don't know. That's just crazy.
Nope,
To me.
it's a holster. You have a holster on everything you saw there. Because
Yo,
like you
Warden
said,
is funny.
you would rip your ass taking that out.
That's
they
what I'm
had
saying,
a rip
yeah.
cord. They had a rip cord. And when we asked them to squat, you can see the string hang out if they don't slam, put it in their ass right.
Right.
But we can't ask them to spread their cheeks back. That ain't out. We can't do that. Lift their nuts and everything. We can't tell them to spread your cheeks.
That's
But
risky
those
for
are
me. I
all
don't know.
weapons he was carrying. One guy had like a whole pack up there, a pack of fives up in his ass. I'm like, yo, what?
So let me ask you a question. Did they condemn you or try to be upset at you? Because they try to make it seem like it's a bad thing.
What's a bad thing?
They try to make it seem like
Taking weapons was a bad
yeah,
thing?
like when I read
getting the
some of
bangers,
stuff,
right?
like getting the bangers. I think it's genius.
I mean,
if you ask me personally, like, okay, I see what you know, from your side of the spectrum, what you have to do. You know what I mean? But then you also admitted to me privately that it backfired one time when you took, you know, you.
Oh, it did.
Can you tell us that story?
all right, they bailed somebody out, you know, no name, no building, everything else.
Yeah.
And when they bailed him out, and they thought he was cool with them, that same night they aired him out. That was a setup bailout. He didn't know it was coming either. He didn't know it was coming, but he made it. He lived through it and everything else. And that was my last day of anybody being bailed out, okay? He was a man up. He took it like, yo, you know, but he made it to the clinic. I have to give him all of that, man. All of these guys make it to the clinic, no matter how many scars they may have.
He got cut badly.
Oh, he got hit. He got hit. I got that call right away at home. Yo, B, your boy got hit. I said, what? Who got hit? You better get up here.
And you had to get up there?
Oh, you think I didn't? I was going to call him away. We had escapes. I'd be there 24 hours. You know, they gave me a car. I had a company car since I've been a captain. Lights and sirens. Oh, I had it all, man. I had it all as coming up. But then again, I made big things for the department. Me and the department went a long way. You know, we got a lot of recognition of what we was doing across the nation. Okay? Across the nation. I mean, at one point, I had somebody from Alaska call me. Fairbanks, Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about he got a blood problem up there. So what's his problem up there with the bloods? You know? And I said, I'll deal with you. You send me some correspondence with your jail and everything on it. He sent it. He sent me some correspondence and said, yo, Alaska got problems. And I said, oh, by all means, we'll help you. We'll help you. You know, what we was helping them with the mere fact that we was able to get all their information.
Can we see that?
Oh, you can look at it like that. All right, you look at that. That's the cover. But, you know, you have to go through all those big words. I can tell you what happened. We got all their code words and everything else. Like this one code word they had, which was very impressive to me, it was called Attica. And when a blood who was a high-ranking blood, a 101, because, you know, their codes was like a 101, 102. That gave you the rank in their organization. When they yell Attica, that means tear that cat up. That means tear him up. Not you in court and the judge is there and I yell Attica, you better rip him.
Wow.
With that simple word. Okay? All right? And we got the Latin Kings really good. We got all their code words. And I'm going to tell you, the Latin King leader, the leader of the Latin Kings.
The one that's in the feds now.
Hello. Supermax.
Hello.
And you know what his confinement was? I got an article to show you this too. You know what his confinement was? The judge said, listen here. You're not allowed to write no one else. Because he put a lot of kites out there to get people killed in New York. You are not allowed to write no one else. You're going to go into Supermax jail. You are not going to use the phone and everything else. And the judge said, that's going to be confinement for the rest of your life. And the guy protested and everything else. And then he finally said, all right, I'm going to let you be able to talk to two people. All right? I got a picture of it. He told him he can talk to the Unabomber and the Oklahoma bomb. Those are two people he can talk to. And he can't whisper. He has to talk to them real loud. Was that a confinement? And he's in a Supermax jail. He's in a Supermax jail. So that's how hard they came down on him.
You knew him? You met him before?
I never met him. But this is the correspondence we got from him. And you know, as the Latin King, what do they do? They write on yellow and black. And you know, as the bloods will cross out all the C's.
Are these private paperworks?
There ain't nothing private about that. That's easy stuff.
I'm just saying.
I just want to show you the fact that it was bad. It was bad. I just want to show you how the picture looked with this Latin King incarcerated like that, and he only can talk to two people.
So I mean, who papers it? Who?
They did that outside in the world. We captured it and everything else, and they gave the whole write up. But that guy's doing real time.
He is. Supermax, yeah, they told me.
Jail. That shut them down. But really what shut everybody down is when we started taking their gold away from them and their clothes and their sneakers.
El Grito de los Reyes. Blood's last word. King Roman is suspended from being a king. Powers is taken away from the nation. There's a guy that they told me that they banned from being a Latin king.
Let me tell you something. They had so much going on for them at that point in the 90s.
Wow. Look at this. Lord, yeah.
All right, this is the New Yorker who gave him
Oh,
a
man,
big write-up. Look at this write-up. They gave him a big
Can't
write-up.
read it.
Man, you got all this stuff. What's up, man?
Can't
That's
read
what
it.
we was dealing with back then in the 90s. I came here to talk about the 90s and how off the chain they was.
What you talking about? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Wow, I just want to show, man. Yo, he ain't playing, man. You should have came and make sure I got everything right. Secrets of the King.
No, this is legal.
It's legal. It's legal.
Make sure, you know.
Come on, something a little bit. Back a little bit. It's a little bit blurry. All right, there we go. Right there.
Wow. Is this legal right here? Or this is
Show the cover. Show the cover. You can show that.
Right. I can show
Yeah,
this,
put
right?
that finger over the DOC bar right there. Look,
Which one? Tell me
right
what-
there. Let me see.
Right
Yeah, there you go. Show it. That's some
Okay.
writings they did.
Okay. Cause no problem for my man.
I'm retired. These are my memoirs when I write my book.
Back some. It's like a glare, you know what I'm saying? It's like really white. If I can see it though. It's white on white. It's hard to kind of catch it.
All right, this is the New Yorker saying that we was gonna explode, and I'm gonna tell you why they said we was gonna explode.
Wow.
Alright, that's good.
See that?
Again, just talking about the 90s, okay? January of 1990, we had 160 people slashed or stabbed. February, 121. March, 151. April, 112. May, 133. June, 142. July, 131. August, 123. September, 114. October, 122. November, 113. December, 107. That gave us a total of 1,547 people in the 90s getting slashed and stabbed. Okay, and we started taking weapons and all that other stuff we did. We took their shoes away from them. We took their jewelry. We took their clothes away from them. And then we started giving them these sneakers that back then in the 90s, when I started giving these out, I was calling them Air Giulianis. These are what the tough guys had to wear. No more Timbs, no more Air, none of that stuff. So we took a lot of the elements away that they were stabbing each other for to begin with. Okay? And then we look over there. Then we look 9 years later. January, 8 slashings. February, 9. March, 6. April, 8. May, 5. Now, come on. We was coming from 130. Now we down to 5. This is the population is 14,000.
We're gonna mic.
We had 14,000 as a population. We had Marbella open. We had 2 prison ships open. We had the Brig open. We had everything on Rikers Island open. We was double bunking beds as these cats was coming in so fast. Okay, we had a giant population. We had the Bloods going wild, and there was blood set tripping and doing all that other stuff. But when we start taking everything away and increasing our searches and posing the officer with the responsibility that they was in charge again, it all turned around. For that year, we only had 94 for a whole year. For the whole year, the Department of Correction made the cover of Police Magazine. And they used to say, if you didn't have a correction officer as a friend, you didn't have no friend in investigations. Because we had a captured population that was willing to talk. They was willing to talk. I don't care all that slick shit they on. We had so many people, which I call secret squirrels again, willing to communicate. And clearly, we told them, tell on anybody.
So that first year with all the slashing, were there mostly Bloods that were doing the cuts?
Oh, yeah. In the 90s, those Bloods opening people up. The Crips never even got a ground in their jail, period. The Crips never had nothing going on in there. So mainly it was the Bloods blooding in and then blooding out. You know what I'm saying? There's some DVDs out there, Scarface for Life and this and that, with a lot of that gruesome stuff. But I have to say, what we did in there, we turned it all around.
Right.
All right? We turned it around. And today's population is 6,000. Imagine that. They're closing out all these jails. The H is closed. GRVC is closed. You know what I'm saying? The prison, one of the prison, we don't have a large population. 6,000. The world is changing. Ain't nobody gang tripping in there no more. Ain't no Bloods or Latin Kings or Nietas. Ain't nobody claiming anything in there. No one's claiming nothing. I mean, at this point, with with this guy, the Latin King leader, going in, and all the Bloods went up and everything else, we crushed them. You know, we truly crushed them to a point where ain't nobody want to throw a flag up. And then we took their flags to begin with. No more flags, no more beads, no more bandanas. Oh, that's gone. You want to identify each other? You better throw that hand sign up. And every officer knew. You saw a hand sign, document it. Document and put them in the system.
Why did they accuse you of being allegedly saying that you were part of the gang? They wrote an article and said that you
They did. A big article. Now, I can't believe some of the stuff I went through in my career. I'm in charge of the gang intelligence unit, okay? As a captain, as an ADW, and a DW. I lived in that unit, okay? I lived doing security for my whole career. And when the Daily News put that 2-page article out on me and went upstate to see somebody, a.k.a. Doughboy, to confirm that I'm Blood, that's so ridiculous as much as I was taking them down. Let me tell you what the Bloods used to do. They used to do goodbye slashings before they went up north. Because remember, anything they did in the jail system, they never got arrested for before. You cut somebody in jail, it was no arrest. It was like, all right, you cut him.
Wow.
You got an infraction. But under the leadership of Carrick and Frazier and some good supervisors ahead of me, they put it in order. Say, no, we're going to arrest them. If it's a crime outside, it's going to be a crime in here. So when we started arresting them, that slowed everything down too. But I was the main one doing it. We got this one guy off the bus when he was going up north. He cut somebody that night. He got on the bus to go up north, thought it was over. We turned that bus around. And we got up there and said, yo, Black, where you at? You're under arrest.
Wow.
We didn't do things like that. We was some dynamic stuff we was doing in the gang intelligence unit.
But
that changed all of that.
But why would they tell us what made the story? Why would they accuse you? Because the articles are here. Why would they accuse you of being a Blood? Why would they accuse you out of all people saying, well, Emmanuel Bailey is a Blood? How did that come into fruition? What happened?
I don't know how that happened. I don't know why will they say that. I never wore no colors. I have no tattoos of a dog on me or anything else. I have none of that stuff. And everybody know that I was straightforward all the time. I made every roll call. I mean, none of my staff members never make no allegations against me. But why he did it, I have no idea. Maybe because I had their respect. But I had the Latin Kings respect, too. I had everybody respect because I never crossed none of them. I never called them out of name. You know what I'm saying? And I tell you clearly, I didn't put nobody in peril. I mean, I said believe it, and I still believe it. We told everybody, we have no houses that's just blood. You know, if you think you got a blood, you better let us know because we're going to flip it. And we had a list in every house. How many Bloods you had in your house? How many Latin Kings you had in your house? How many motorcycle gangs? Jamaican posses, okay? We had that listed in every house when we know what the breakdown was. And I let no one claim no house. That house belonged to us. You know, I told my officers, they know, most of my officers was the best officers I ever worked with.
There's a story going around that, I don't know if it happened on Rikers, but like somebody's grandmother got cut on the visiting floor. Somebody's girl got cut. Do you remember those type of stories happening?
Yes, I do.
Because I'm getting ready to go and see the guy, his grandmother got cut. A guy named Scully. Said his grandmother got cut on the visiting floor.
They did that. Matter of fact, some mothers used to call down another inmate for they can get cut. They did that grimy stuff, and we started arresting the visitors too.
Wow.
They did something on PIX on me where we was all the visitors that was coming up there. What we did was start running them for warrants. Any visitor that came to see you, we ran them for warrants. And warrants was popping up on them. And we were arrested right when they came off the visit floor. But some people, their loved ones will call their son enemy down to the floor for they can touch him.
That's crazy.
And you witnessed that.
It happened. I mean, I wasn't on the floor, but I mean, I had to respond to it. It was... The subculture is great in there, man. Like I said, they slamming weapons. They doing stuff that,
What's the subculture? What are you talking about?
The culture that we have in the street where you wouldn't be putting nothing in your butt, okay? That culture where you have the ability to start putting it in your butt. And more than anything, just to swallow and come back. Somebody swallowed some drugs on a visit, and they came back and just started drinking a shampoo. And I asked another inmate, I said, yo, what's wrong with him? Did I put a psych referral on him? And the inmate's just going to tell me, no, he's trying to regurgitate the drugs he got. I'm like, I'm the CO. Why you telling me the real story? You know what I'm saying? No, I called up on him. I called up and got the captain down there right away. Let me tell you something. As an officer for the 2.5 years I was there, I had one stabbing. And evidently, they thought the guy they put up the stab was real cool with me because I spoke to his mother on the phone. I spoke to him. And then listen, after he stabbed him, I hit the alarm. I pointed him out. I said, he did it. And he slid the weapon under that cell. And all the men, oh, B, that's wrong, man. Why you do that? I'm looking at them and said, why you ask me why I did that? I'm the police. I used to tell the inmates the same thing every time. Don't be on my side. I'm not pointing people out and saying, he's all right, he's all right. You're not on my side.
Check that camera for me.
Don't help me. I played it by the rules all my career. For them to allege that, and me to be in a unit like that, a gang intelligence unit, none of us had any kind of qualms about what we did. If you did something dirty, you got it. You got the arrest and everything else.
Okay, so you wake up one day, they accuse you of being part of a gang. Did you sue them? Did you press charges? Or
No, I learned from my union president that they have, I have a pen, and they got barrels of ink. They got barrels of ink. You know, me fighting them would be like fighting the empire. And that's what it was. What I learned in my career is I rolled all that off my back.
Jail, yeah.
I tell you, the DA wiretapped me for a couple of months. I was looking for that letter to bring it up here. They wiretapped me, and when I read the letter, I said to myself, I went to my chief of the department and chief of operations. I said, you know anything about this? They said no. And they joked around and said, don't be calling me. I didn't take nothing that funny. I went back, and my team said, are you going to call the DA? I said, no. I never called the DA to say why you wiretapped me for these couple of months. I didn't do anything. You can wiretap me for the rest of your life. You know what I'm saying? You ain't gonna get me.
But water. Let's you know. And I try to, and I'm happy that you are the type of person that you are because you're not. I could tell. You know, either you're a great liar, a great storyteller. No, let's be honest. Let's call it what we call it.
All right,
or you're telling the truth. You know what I mean? There's always two sides of the story. You're very honest. That's why you have nothing to hide. That's why
I don't.
You know, I rock about you. The thing is, you know, they were saying you did earlier. You admitted to me that if your profile matches the description, I'm putting you in there. Yeah, I might have put a Latin king, or I might put more people, but the way you put it makes sense for your. If you understand what I'm saying, it makes sense. It will make sense, but people would take it as you were doing it intentionally.
But remember, nobody ever got cut when I put them in a house like that. That's the biggest thing I can yell about. You get somebody up here and say, be put me in the house so I can get stabbed up and air me out. Nobody ain't going to air nobody out.
They didn't say you did it. They didn't say
they said they was put in an uncomfortable situation.
Yes.
That's what they was put in, all right? But this is jail, right? And I'm telling you, this is your classification. You want to be down there with Chicky and everybody and live lovely and this and that, or whoever you want to be with. It don't work that way. You ain't going to disrespect my staff and think you're going to live.
Facts.
Nobody will disrespect and I told my team that. I love you. They can't diss you. Before I let somebody go to commissary, I asked the officer, they cool? They good? Before I give them a haircut, they cool? They good? I never ruled that because when I come in there, they're going to kiss my ass for a couple of minutes. I got the white shirt on. I have to make sure my officers are right. You know, my officer said, you cool, you good. And you disrespect my officers and think you're going to respect me? No, it ain't happening. I'll shut down this whole jail. I know what I used to like to tell them? I have a no-knock 24-hour search warrant, and I like executing them. So I can not search you. They all used to a 3 o'clock search, a 2 o'clock search. I can search you anytime I want. And my biggest tool was taking their phone away from them. How can I take their phone? Rules and regs say you're only supposed to get 6 minutes. You can call your attorney, but I have to call your attorney and make sure he's your attorney before I give you the phone. Nobody want to see your rock of that phone. You know, because I heard some guys say, I got half an hour on the phone, I wanted more. I made sure everybody got on the phone in my house. I ran my phone, and I ran the feeding. Nobody got an air tray. You know what an air tray is? No food on it. They just give them an empty tray, and you have the dun-dun-dun, you want to take it and not say nothing. Because back then in the 90s, we served them fried chicken every Sunday with ice cream. Fried chicken, pork chops. They was living lovely. You know they don't get that no more. They got a healthy diet. No more fried food. No more french fries. No more fried chicken. Things changed this year.
But wait. How can you say that? Warden,
Say it.
how can you say that you ran the phones when a lot of people were going through issues with the phones?
You better ask them in my house.